Tom was a simple engineer working on Planet Dune 17. It was a dry, windy place, covered in golden sand and strange rock towers. He worked alone in an old mining outpost, fixing machines that dug for crystals under the surface. Most days were quiet. He spent his time eating packaged food, checking computer systems, and watching dust storms from his metal window. One evening, as the orange sun began to set, Tom heard a strange noise outside. It wasn't the wind or a broken machine. It sounded like singing? Soft, high-pitched tones floated through the air like a tiny choir. Curious, Tom grabbed his jacket, his tool belt, and a small pulse cutter for safety. He stepped outside and followed the sound past the rocks and into a narrow canyon. As he walked deeper, the sound became clearer, voices mixed with panic. Then he saw them. Tiny creatures, no taller than his hand, were running from large bug-like animals. The creatures had shiny shells and snapping legs. The small ones were glowing faintly and trying to escape, but they were too slow. Tom didn't think twice. He ran forward, shouting to scare the bugs away, but the predators didn't care. One of them turned and rushed at him, fast and sharp. Tom raised his pulse cutter and fired. A bright blue beam hit the creature, making it screech and fall. 2. More came at him. He dodged left, jumped back, and fired again. 1 more dropped. The last bug turned and fled into the rocks. Tom stood still, breathing heavily. His arm had a long scratch from the fight, and his cutter was almost out of power. But the tiny, glowing beings were safe. They stood in a small group, looking up at him. Their skin was soft and lightly colored, some blue, some green, some pale gold. They had big eyes and soft, leaf-like hair. They looked both scared and amazed. One of them stepped forward. She had teal-colored hair and a small wooden staff. She spoke in her musical voice, but Tom couldn't understand. He smiled, knelt down slowly, and said, "It's okay. You're safe now." They looked at each other and then started to sing together, a short, cheerful tune. Tom didn't know what it meant, but he felt like they were saying thank you. Suddenly he felt dizzy. His arm hurt more than he thought. The ground swayed beneath him. Then everything went dark. Tom woke up to the smell of sweet air. He opened his eyes and blinked. Soft light glowed above him. He wasn't in his outpost anymore. He was lying on a bed made of woven grass and soft moss. Around him were walls of living plants and small glowing stones. Tiny creatures stood nearby, watching him with wide eyes. One of them was the teal-haired girl. She came forward and touched his forehead gently. Tom sat up, confused but calm. "Where am I?" She spoke again in her musical voice, then pointed to herself. "Lena," she said slowly. Tom nodded. "Lena." "I'm Tom." She smiled and pointed at him. "Tom." More of the small beings came forward. One was older and had gray leaves in his hair. He wore a small cloak and carried a staff with a blue stone. He looked serious, but kind. Tom guessed he was their leader. The old one spoke carefully. "Tom. Safe. You protect. We thank." Tom nodded slowly. "You're welcome. Those things were dangerous." The leader nodded and looked at Lena. She smiled and helped Tom stand. Around him, the village came alive. Floating lights hung from trees. Small homes were built in the branches. There were tiny bridges and moving platforms. It looked magical and peaceful. Tom was amazed. "All this, and I never knew." Lena walked beside him, pointing at places and saying their names in her language. She showed him how their water flowed from shining stones. She showed him the fields where they grew tiny fruits. Everything was neat and bright. Later that evening, the villagers gathered in the center of the village. A small fire glowed in the middle. They sang soft songs and offered Tom fruits and water in tiny cups. The leader stood again and raised his hand. Tom, human, Brave heart. Saved many. Big thanks. Tom smiled and raised his hand in return. I'm just glad you're okay. Then the leader said something strange. You save. You protect. You now bond with us. Tom blinked. Bond? The villagers clapped and smiled. Lena stood beside him, her eyes shining. Tom didn't understand everything, but he could feel it. These little people had welcomed him. They trusted him. They saw him as a hero. He didn't feel like one. He had only done what was right, but maybe on this strange planet, that was more than enough. Tom woke early the next day, still surprised by everything around him. The small village was quiet and calm. He sat on the soft bed of moss and stretched his arms. His injury from the fight was covered with a leaf bandage that glowed faintly. It no longer hurt. A small breeze moved through the glowing plants outside. Tiny, colorful birds flew between trees, singing soft notes. Tom looked around and smiled. This was no regular place. It felt like something from a dream. The door to his plant-woven hut opened, and Lena walked in. She carried a wooden bowl filled with round purple fruits. Tom, food, she said with a bright smile. Tom took the bowl carefully and sat down. The fruit was sweet, like a mix of berries and honey. He nodded in thanks. Good. Lena sat on a soft cushion near him. She watched him eat, her leaf-like hair shining in the soft morning light. Tom's strong, she said suddenly. You fight big beast. You save Tiki. Tiki? Tom asked. Lena pointed at herself and then outside. We are Tiki. Tom nodded. Your people? Yes. Small but strong heart. Tom chuckled. Yeah, I can see that. After breakfast, Lena led him out to explore more of the Tiki village. They walked along tiny wooden paths and vine bridges between thick trees. Tom had to move carefully, making sure not to step on anything or bump his head. The Tiki had built their world above the ground, using nature in smart ways. Children ran past him, laughing. Some tried to touch his boots and waved excitedly. Adults bowed their heads or smiled when they saw him. They treated him with respect, almost like a leader. Lena guided him to a wide platform where a circle of Tiki sat waiting. The old leader, Bruma, stood in the center. His gray hair moved with the breeze. Tom, Bruma called. Come! Tom walked forward and sat cross-legged, careful not to break the platform. Bruma raised his hands. Tom is protector. He saved our people. He is now part of us. The crowd of Tiki clapped and sang a short, soft tune. Their voices mixed like tiny bells in the air. Tom looked around, surprised and a little confused. Part of you? He asked. Bruma nodded. Yes, you helped without asking. You gave without want. That is honor. Tom rubbed the back of his neck. I just did what anyone would do. Bruma smiled. Not all would. Many would walk away. Lena stepped forward, standing beside Bruma. She looked calm and proud. Bruma continued. In Tiki way, protector must have a bond. Not just words. A promise. Tom tilted his head. A bond? Lena looked up at him and gently said, Life bond. Tom blinked. What does that mean? Bruma looked serious now. It means you are not alone. You saved us. Now we give you our greatest gift. A bond partner. One who stays, helps, guides. Tom stared at them, speechless. Bruma pointed toward Lena. Lena is chosen. She is brave. She is kind. She will be your bond. Lena stepped closer, looking up, into his eyes. I am with you now. Tom didn't know what to say. His heart beat fast. Was this a marriage? He didn't want to be rude or misunderstand. Wait, he said carefully. In human ways, a bond means something romantic, like love. Bruma shook his head. For Tiki, it means respect, care and sharing paths, not like human love, like deep friendship and loyalty. Tom slowly nodded. So, she becomes my friend? My companion? Yes, Bruma said. Forever, if you choose. If not, we understand. Tom looked at Lena again. Her smile was calm, but hopeful. She wasn't forcing anything. She waited for his choice. He thought for a moment. These small people had saved his life too. They cared for him, trusted him. Lena had been kind and helpful from the beginning. He smiled softly. Okay, I accept. A cheer rose from the tiki. Some danced, others sang short, happy tunes. Bruma raised his hands high. It is done! The protector and the bond are joined! Lena took a small string of woven silver leaves and tied it around Tom's wrist. It glowed for a moment, then faded softly. It means you are part of our village, she whispered. Tom looked at the bracelet, then at Lena. Thank you. Later that day, the tiki threw a small celebration. There were glowing lights hung from trees, soft music played on little wooden flutes, and tiny cakes made of honey and seeds. Tom sat near the center, trying all the strange but tasty food. Lena sat on his shoulder now, laughing with others. She was light as a feather. Tom smiled at how natural it all felt. He watched the tiki move, sing, dance. Such small beings, but they had big hearts and deep wisdom. Their bond was not just a tradition. It was a way to protect and care for one another. As the stars appeared in the sky, Lena looked at Tom and asked, You happy? Tom looked around, then at her. Yes, more than I expected. And somewhere, in the quiet of the night, Tom began to understand. This wasn't just a new home. It was a new beginning. The next morning, Tom woke to soft sunlight filtering through the leaves of the tiki village. The gentle hum of small creatures moving around filled the air. Lena was already awake, sitting on a small wooden bench, her bright eyes watching the sky. Good morning, Tom, she said with a cheerful smile. Tom stretched and stood, feeling stronger than the day before. His arm was healing quickly, thanks to the tiki's strange but effective care. Good morning, Lena, he replied. Thank you for helping me. Lena nodded. Tiki help friends. Tom smiled at her simple words. This bond, this promise they shared was growing inside him. It was strange, but good. Later that day, the villagers gathered again in the central platform for another meeting. The small crowd was excited. Children sat quietly, and adults whispered to one another. Bruma, the tiki chief, stood tall. His eyes shone with respect and hope. Tom, he began, you have joined us as protector. Your courage is great. Your heart is kind. Today, we give you the gift of a bond. Tom looked at Bruma, waiting for explanation. The chief lifted a small wooden box decorated with leaves and stones. Inside was a tiny pendant, glowing softly with blue light. This pendant is our oldest symbol, Bruma said. It is given only to those who protect our people. It shows your place in the village and the bond you share with Lena. Tom took the pendant carefully. It was light and smooth. Why is this bond so important? Tom asked. Bruma smiled gently. In the tiki way, the bond means trust and care. It is a promise to share life's journey, not just for today, but forever. Tom nodded slowly, thinking about the weight of those words. Lena stepped forward. I will stay with Tom. I will guide him and help him. We will learn from each other. Tom looked at her. I want that too. I want to understand your people and help. Bruma waved his hand, and the villagers began a soft song. It was slow and beautiful, like a river flowing through trees. Tom felt his heart beat in time with the music. Then, Lena took the pendant from Tom and tied it to a thin vine necklace. She placed it gently around his neck. "Now you carry the gift of a bond," she said softly. Tom touched the pendant and smiled. It was more than a symbol. It was a new start. After the ceremony, Lena invited Tom to walk with her. "Come," she said. "I will show you more of the village." They moved through the trees, deeper into the forest. Tom saw small houses built, in leaves and wood, all carefully made with natural shapes. Lena stopped at a clear pond. Tiny fish darted in the water, shining like stars. "This is the heart of our home," Lena said. "Water gives life." Tom knelt by the water, touching the cool surface. He thought about his own world, dry machines and metal walls, and felt grateful for this peace. Suddenly, Lena looked serious. "Tom, I have question." He smiled. "Ask. Do you want to stay long time?" "With us?" Tom looked at her, surprised. He hadn't thought so far ahead. "I don't know yet," he said honestly. My home is far away." Lena nodded. "We understand. But here you are safe. Here you have family." Tom thought about the strange kindness he had found with the tiki. He thought about Lena's smile and the way she helped him. For the first time since coming to Dune 17, he felt hope. "I want to stay," he said quietly. Lena smiled brightly. "Good. We learned together." Days passed, and Tom's life changed. He helped the tiki repair tools and machines. He taught them how to fix broken parts and use simple energy devices. The tiki were quick learners, and they used their small size to build amazing inventions. Lena was always near. She showed him secret paths and introduced him to others in the village. She helped him understand tiki language and customs. One afternoon, while Tom worked on a small drone, Lena sat beside him. "Tom," she said softly, "you are brave. You care. Tiki proud." Tom looked at her and smiled. "You're my friend, Lena." Lena's eyes sparkled. "More than friend. Bond." Tom nodded. "Yes. Bond." One evening, Bruma called Tom to his hut. The old tiki's face was serious. "Tom, protect her," Bruma said. "There is danger coming." Tom's heart quickened. "Danger? What kind?" Bruma looked toward the stars. "Pirates. They seek the crystals beneath Dune 17. They do not care for life, only for profit." Tom frowned. "Pirates?" "Yes. They will destroy all if they come." Tom stood straight. "We must prepare." Bruma nodded slowly. "We are small, but with you, we have hope." Tom felt a new determination grow inside him. This was no longer just a strange adventure. It was a fight to protect his new friends and a tiny world that had welcomed him. He looked at Lena. "We will stand together." Lena smiled. "Always." As the stars blinked high above the trees, Tom knew his life had changed forever. From a lone engineer on a dry world, he had become protector, friend, and part of something bigger than himself. And the bond he shared with Lena was the first step in a journey that would test courage, trust, and the true meaning of family. The days passed quickly in the glowing palace of Valara. Tom learned more about the Valari people and their ancient ways. The palace was full of strange machines and beautiful gardens, with waterfalls that sparkled in the sunlight. But beneath, a storm was coming. Queen Zara stood on the balcony watching the distant sky. Her silver eyes were sharp and full of worry. "The Tharn ships are moving closer," she said softly to Tom. Tom looked up at the dark horizon. "How many ships?" he asked. Zara's voice was steady but serious. "Too many. They have been silent for months. Now they come to conquer." Tom's heart beat faster. He had never seen an alien war, but he knew this could mean danger for everyone. "We must prepare," Zara said. "The Valari warriors are strong, but without the ancient power, we may not survive." Tom felt a strange weight on his shoulders. He was a stranger here, but somehow Zara trusted him. She believed he was the key to saving Valara. Later, Zara led Tom to a large chamber deep inside the palace. The walls were covered in glowing symbols, and in the center stood a large stone, the Stone of Memory. "This stone holds the wisdom of our ancestors," Zara explained. "It can only be touched by the blood of a royal, but the prophecy says you will awaken its power." Tom reached out and placed his hand on the cold stone. Suddenly, it began to glow with a soft blue light. The symbols on the walls shimmered and moved, showing images of Valara's past, great battles, lost cities, and the ancient guardians who once protected the planet. The Valari elders gasped. They had never seen the stone react like this before. Zara looked at Tom with hope and fear. "You have started something, Tom, something powerful." That night, Tom had strange dreams. He saw the mountain beneath the palace shaking. Flames and sparks flew in the darkness. A voice whispered in his mind, speaking words he did not understand, but felt deeply. He woke with a start. Zara was beside him, watching quietly. "You have seen the vision," she said softly. Tom nodded. "What does it mean?" "It means the ancient power is waking," Zara replied. "But it also means danger. We must be ready for the Tharn." The next morning, the palace was busy with preparation. Warriors practiced with glowing swords, and scientists worked on machines that hummed with energy. Tom helped where he could, using his knowledge of technology to improve their defenses. He showed the Valari how to repair their ships and use energy shields. The people listened eagerly, their hope growing. Zara stayed close, her calm presence giving strength to everyone. She and Tom often spoke about their plans and fears. "Will the prophecy save us?" Tom asked one evening. Zara smiled softly. "The prophecy is only a guide. It is our courage and unity that will win the battle." Days later, scouts reported Tharn ships entering Valara's atmosphere. The sky darkened with hundreds of fast-moving vessels. Zara stood before her people. "The time has come," she said. "We fight to save our home." Tom felt a rush of fear, but also determination. He was no longer just a visitor. He was part of this fight. The battle began with a flash of light and a roar that shook the ground. Valari ships soared into the sky, firing beams of energy at the Tharn. The air filled with explosions and smoke. Tom helped coordinate the defense from the palace control room. His hands moved quickly over controls, sending commands to warriors and ships. During the battle, Tom saw a small Valari child caught in the explosion near the palace. Without thinking, he ran toward the danger. The child was trapped under rubble, scared and crying. Tom lifted the heavy stones with all his strength. The child hugged him tightly. "Thank you," the child whispered. The Valari around saw this and cheered. Tom was not just an outsider, he was their protector. As the battle raged on, the ground beneath the palace trembled. The Stone of Memory glowed brighter. The ancient guardians hidden beneath the mountain began to awaken. Zara turned to Tom. "Now we must enter the chamber of the core." They moved quickly through secret halls to a large door. It opened to a vast room filled with glowing crystals and strange machines. Tom stepped inside. The mountain rumbled and shook. Energy flowed from the crystals into his body. He felt power like never before. Strength, courage, and a deep connection to Valara. Outside, the Guardians rose. Massive machines flew into the sky, attacking the Tharn ships. The tide of the battle turned. The Tharn ships began to retreat, their power broken by the ancient forces. Valara was saved. After the battle, Tom collapsed from exhaustion. Zara stayed by his side, holding his hand. You are the hero we needed, she said softly. Tom smiled weakly. I couldn't have done it without you. Zara looked into his eyes. This is only the beginning. The twin suns rose over Valara. A new day began, a day of hope, unity, and a future shared between one human and one alien queen. The battle had ended, but the air was still heavy with tension. Tom lay in a soft chamber within the palace, his body tired, but his spirit alive. Queen Zara sat beside him, her hand gently holding his. Outside, Valara's twin suns rose slowly, bathing the land in warm light. This is a new beginning, Zara said softly. Tom nodded, looking around at the beautiful palace filled with strange plants and soft music. He felt different now, stronger, more connected to this world and its people. I still don't understand everything, Tom said. How did I have that power? What happens now? Zara smiled. The power was always inside you. It was waiting to be awakened by your courage and your heart. Now, you are part of Valara's story. Tom thought about the ancient guardians, the glowing crystals, and the bond they shared. It was more than magic. It was hope. The days after the battle were busy but peaceful. The Valari worked together to rebuild what was lost. Tom helped repair ships and teach the people how to use new tools. The Valari children played in the gardens, their laughter echoing like music. Zara held meetings with her council, planning for the future. Tom listened carefully, learning about Valara's history and the challenges ahead. One afternoon, Zara invited Tom to walk with her in the palace gardens. The air smelled sweet with blooming flowers, and soft breezes moved the leaves. Tom, Zara began, our bond is more than a promise. It is a connection between our peoples. We must build trust between Earth and Valara. Tom looked at her, feeling a new responsibility. I want to help. I want to bring our worlds closer. Zara smiled warmly. Together, we can. As the weeks passed, Tom learned more about Valara's culture and people. He discovered their love for music, their respect for nature, and their deep sense of community. The Valari welcomed him not just as a hero, but as a friend. One evening, the palace held a great celebration. The halls were filled with glowing lanterns and music from strange instruments. Valari dancers moved gracefully, their steps telling stories of old. Tom watched, amazed by the beauty and joy around him. Zara came to his side, her eyes shining. This celebration honors the new alliance, she explained, between Valara and Earth. Tom smiled, feeling proud. I never imagined this when I crashed here. Zara took his hand gently. Neither did I. But fate brought us together. During the celebration, Zara spoke softly to Tom. There is one more tradition I must share with you. Tom looked curious. What is it? In Valari culture, the bond is sealed by sharing the bed, not as lovers, but as equals and partners. It is a sign of trust, respect, and unity. Tom nodded slowly. I understand. It means a lot to you. Zara smiled. Yes, and you have already shown me your heart. That night, Tom stayed in Zara's chambers. They talked long into the night, sharing hopes, fears, and dreams for the future. Though they came from different worlds, their bond grew deeper. Days turned into months. Tom's work with the Valari grew more important. He helped build new defenses, taught new technologies, and trained the warriors. The Valari were eager to learn, and Tom was patient and kind. Zara and Tom continued to grow closer, their bond a symbol of hope. Together, they faced challenges and victories, building a future that was once only a dream. One day, as they walked through the palace gardens, Zara stopped and looked at Tom. Our worlds are different, but together, we are stronger, she said. Tom smiled. I believe that too. But peace was fragile. Reports came from distant parts of Valara. Some villages were still in danger from Tharn raiders. Zara and Tom knew their fight was not over. We must help them, Tom said firmly. Zara nodded. Yes, we will send aid and protect our people. Tom felt ready for whatever came next. He was no longer just a human visitor. He was a protector, a partner, and a symbol of hope for two worlds. As the twin suns set over Valara, Tom and Zara stood side by side, looking toward the stars. Their journey had only begun. The peaceful days on Valara were growing fewer by the hour. Tom and Queen Zara could feel the danger creeping closer. Despite their victory, the Tharn were still strong and angry. Their ships hovered in the skies beyond the planet, ready to strike again. The Valari Council gathered in the Grand Hall, their faces serious. Tom stood beside Zara, listening as the leaders planned their next move. We cannot wait for the enemy to attack again, Zara said firmly. We must take the fight to them. Tom nodded, understanding the weight of her words. How do we start? Zara pointed to a large map showing the stars and fleets. The Tharn have bases in the neighboring systems. If we destroy them, we can protect Valara. A murmur went through the room. The task was dangerous, but hope shone in their eyes. That night, Tom sat in the palace garden looking up at the twin moons. The soft light reflected on the leaves, and the air was calm. Lena approached quietly, her eyes full of concern. You are thinking about the war, she said softly. Tom sighed. Yes. I never expected to fight a war in the stars, but now it feels like my destiny. Lena smiled gently. You have the heart of a protector. Tom looked at her. I just want to keep everyone safe. The next day, preparations began. Valari ships were repaired and armed. Tom worked with the engineers, sharing his knowledge of Earth technology. The Valari were quick learners, eager to strengthen their defenses. Zara visited the training grounds, watching the warriors practice. She approached Tom, her voice calm but strong. You have taught us much, she said. Your knowledge is a gift. Tom smiled. I learn from you, too. Before the mission began, Zara held a small ceremony. She placed a simple silver ring on Tom's finger, a symbol of their bond and partnership. This ring binds us, she said. In battle and peace, we stand together. Tom felt the weight of the promise. He looked into her eyes and nodded. Together, the fleet launched into the stars. Tom sat in the pilot's seat, the controls familiar but different from Earth's ships. Around him were Valari warriors, their faces determined. The journey was long and tense. As they approached the Tharn base, alarms sounded. Enemy ships appeared, ready to defend their territory. The battle began. Tom's heart raced as lasers flashed across the dark space. He moved the ship skillfully, dodging enemy fire and returning shots. The Valari fought bravely alongside him, their small size and speed a great advantage. During a fierce moment, Tom spotted a Tharn command ship. If we take down that ship, the others will retreat, he shouted. Zara, piloting another ship, nodded. I'm with you. Together they flew toward the command ship, weaving through enemy fire. Tom fired the ship's weapons carefully, hitting the target. The command ship exploded in a bright flash. Enemy ships scattered, retreating into the darkness. Cheers filled the fleet. The Valari had won. Back on Valara, the people celebrated. Tom and Zara stood together watching the stars. We have many battles ahead, Zara said, but tonight we are victorious. Tom smiled. And we will face them all. Together, the victory in the stars brought a new hope to Valara. The people cheered, their faces bright with joy and relief. Tom stood beside Queen Zara on the palace balcony, looking out over the land that now felt like home. "Your people are strong," Tom said quietly. Zara smiled. "No, it is our bond that makes us strong. And you, Tom, brought that bond to life." Tom looked at her, feeling the warmth of her words. He thought about the journey, how a crash had changed everything, how he had gone from a simple man on Earth to a protector, a friend, and a part of something greater. The days after the battle were filled with rebuilding and healing. The scars of war were many, but the spirit of Valara was stronger. Tom helped the workers repair the damage and taught the young Valari about Earth's technology and ideas. Zara visited the villages, comforting her people and promising a brighter future. Tom admired her strength and kindness. She was more than a queen. She was a symbol of hope. One evening, as the twin suns set behind the mountains, Zara invited Tom to the palace garden. The air was warm, filled with the scent of glowing flowers. "Tom," she began softly, "you have become part of Valara. Your courage, your heart, they inspire us all." Tom smiled, feeling a new kind of peace. Zara reached out and took his hand. "Will you stay? Not just for now, but always?" Tom looked into her eyes. He thought of Earth, his home, and of this strange new world that had welcomed him. "I will stay," he said firmly. "Valara is my home now." The Valari celebrated their new alliance with a great festival. Music filled the air, and lights danced on the trees. People from every village came to join in the joy. Tom and Zara stood together at the center. Their bond clear to all. "We have much to learn from each other," Tom said to the crowd. "Together we will build a future where our worlds stand side by side." The crowd cheered, their voices rising in hope and promise. Days turned into months, and Tom's place on Valara grew stronger. He worked with the Valari scientists, sharing knowledge and discovering new ideas. The planet began to thrive in ways it never had before. Zara and Tom's bond deepened, not just as leaders, but as friends who trusted and cared for each other. They faced challenges and victories, always side by side. One night, under the clear stars, Zara spoke quietly. "Tom, there is something I want to share." Tom looked at her, curious. "This planet has many secrets still," she said. "But with you here, I believe we can face whatever comes." Tom smiled. "Whatever comes, we will face it together." As the years passed, the alliance between Earth and Valara grew. Ships traveled between the stars, carrying goods, knowledge, and friendship. The Valari and humans learned from each other, building a new future. Tom often thought about his journey, from the moment the crash happened to the day he shared a bed with a queen and accepted a new life. It was a story of hope, courage, and unexpected friendship. And now it was a story still being written, with many pages left to come.